Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in. This is the sort of second part of my lethal arrow build, or as lethal as I can build it and for the game that I'm hunting. So I've already selected everything that I want to use, and I'm going to explain to you why I've decided to use some of the components that I have and what benefit they will give me and you if you decide to use them, and a little explanation as to why I think they're better than some of the stuff you get out there today. So sit tight, I'll give you a look at what I'm using here. Okay, so here we have the components that I'm using for my arrow, and the whole idea of this is to get a heavier arrow, not too heavy that you're losing all your trajectory. Trajectory doesn't really matter. You're going to adjust your sights, you're going to hit the target or your animal wherever you want to hit it at whatever distance. If you want to shoot at animals 70 meters or 80 yards away, this is not the arrow for you. You probably could, but it's going to be a little crazy trying to aim like that. These are realistic distances for hunting animals. I'd say 20, 30, 40, maybe even out to 50 yards shouldn't be a problem. So we want a heavy arrow, but more importantly, we want an arrow that's going to have a high forward of center. The weight of the arrow is going to mainly be up at the front. And we do that with a number of different things. The insert, well, that's a big part of it. Here I have, these are the inserts that come with the gold tip platinum pierce arrows. And you know, it bugged me a little that that you could only get this really light sort of aluminium insert. But yes, gold tip offer these fact weight systems. So you add some weight to your arrow, and you add it supposedly to the end of your arrow. Well, you're losing 1.5 inches with this very light aluminium weight, and I'm just going to show you what all this adds up to. So I am trying to get a arrow as heavy as I can up at the front. So I hope you can see these numbers. So this is the little collar, the ballistic collar that goes with your, or comes with the gold tip arrows, and that weighs a whopping 24.6 grains. Yeah, anyway, I just giving you some comparisons here. There's other companies that make these, but this comes from Ethics Archery, and here's their collar, and that weighs in at 70 grains. What am I looking at here? 70. So there you go, man. There's a big difference already just on the collar. The insert, well, I mean, we can do this all day, but let's just get to the nitty gritty. The whole bang shoot that I'm putting on the end of my arrow comes with this stainless steel, strong as anything insert, and the collar, which I've already showed you. Those together weigh in at 180 grains as advertised to the dot. To get the same with the parts that you can buy with your gold tip arrows, and I'm not knocking gold tip, I think they're good arrows, just this part is lacking a little bit. To get the same, you need this thing. You know, all of that weight. I mean, all of that length. So you put that in, right, there we go, 182. Close enough. But look at the difference. I mean, not only are you having a whole bunch of things that can get unscrewed while you're shooting, but you're putting this weight further back on the arrow. There's no way it's going to be the same center of gravity or forward of center, whatever you want to call it, as this with the same weight. So, man, this is just a little ridiculous. Forget it. You can buy, Victory VAP. I'm using both of these arrows, gold tip and the Victory VAP. If you pick the right ones, they are identical in grains per inch and spine and straightness and all that stuff. So they are essentially the same arrow. The Victory VAP, I do like them because they have this spine line on there, which you can use to help with your nock tuning and get things all set up in the right place. And they have this little coating which does make them a little bit slicker. So I think it's a good arrow. And you can buy those with these stainless steel inserts. Already, you put that in, 90 grains is what it's supposed to be. Well, two things. You cannot add any extra weight on the back of these, so you're stuck with what you got. And I've used these before quite a bit, and I'll tell you what, man, the distance, well, I don't know, my theory is that it's just not long enough in the back. I've had too many of these bend right here so this is what it looks like. It's on the end of an arrow. I've had too many of them bend right there at that joint. You're just wasting energy. So again, not working. Here we go, man. This right now is the best answer that I can find. Stainless steel, good and solid, strong and heavy, and in a tight little compact package. Fantastic. So there you go. I'm not paid by these guys or anything, but Ethics Archery, great service, and that's where you can find these babies. So now the next most important thing with getting your arrow to have a good forward to center weight is the arrow shaft itself. So I use a 250 spine. These are the gold tip. These are platinum pierce, kinetic pierce, whatever they are. 250 spine. These are 9.8 grains per inch. And I also use the Victory VAP. As I said, they're identical. These are also, I don't know if it says it on the shaft, but they are also 9.8 grains per inch, 250 spine, 0.166 internal diameter. They're the same arrow. All the components that fit the gold tip fit these ones. Same arrow. 9.8 grains per inch, you thinking is probably not that heavy. It's heavier than some hunting arrows, but that's a good thing. You don't want all your weight of your arrow in the arrow shaft. You want the weight of your arrow in the point. So if they could make an arrow that was just as strong as this, the same diameters and all the rest, and it was 7 grains per inch, I'll buy that, because I'm saving weight and I can stick more of it up in the front. That's what I want to do. Now you do have to pay attention to some limits. If you get this thing way overspined, yes, there is a chance that one, you're going to have some really strange arrow flight with the arrow flexing all over the show as you shoot it, because you've got a really heavy weight up front. And also you can definitely run into the risk of cracking a shaft with a excessively overspined, or should I say underspined arrow for the weight that you're shooting. So keep it in reason, but you can go a lot further than those charts will tell you. So here is my setup. I'm going to move the camera out a little bit so that you can see the arrows just a little better. Alrighty, so here's what I have. I got that good heavy insert in there with that ballistics collar. Now I'm calling it what the gold tip is. Whatever this is. This is the stainless steel 70 grain collar with 110 grains of insert, which probably comes up to about there on the shaft. The last component that I was going to talk about, and I haven't got to it yet, but I'll explain that shortly, is the tail, your feathers. Now, if you've watched any of those Ed Ashby videos, you'll understand why it's important. If you have your center of balance on your arrow way out here, you've got all of this moment arm that will be affecting, one, the balance point of your arrow, and two, how it does all your steering and stuff. Watch the Ed Ashby things, he explains it much better. But basically, if the balance point is out here and I just add one little grain of weight, it's going to make a big difference. So you catch my drift, like a seesaw. If you got a longer end of a seesaw or a teeter-totter or whatever you call it in the States, you know that if you put a small weight there, it's going to make a big difference, like a crowbar. So we want the smallest amount of weight that we can at the end of this arrow shaft, and that is important. I'm going to show you how that makes a big difference with the scale, or how to make a big difference with your feathers or vanes and fletchings on the scale in just a second. So, and to show that, I've already balanced these out, but I got two shafts. They're identical in terms of the actual arrow shaft. The only thing that I haven't done, so they both got the same ethics archery points in there. The only thing I haven't done is, when I was testing all this, I still used some of the old vanes that I have, and I've now put feathers on the rest of them. So these will get changed soon, but what I want to show you is the difference. So if I line these up together here, the balance point is, if you can see it, well, keep this straight, has been moved forward by pretty much an inch. Now that doesn't sound a lot, but when you do the maths and you work out your F.O.C, that makes a big difference. That's like a 4% difference right there. So, and that is just from a lighter set of feathers at the back instead of the vanes. So let me show you what the difference is between these vanes and feathers. Watch this. Okay, so here we have some pretty common brands of vanes and the feathers that I'm using. A lot of feathers are the same, a lot of vanes are the same. But here's what I want to show you. So let's get the scale fired up here. I guess you can see those numbers. If not, I'll read them out. So blazer vanes, they're pretty popular, pretty common. One blazer vane, and they're pretty light, is 6.4 grains. Okay. AAE Max Hunter, also pretty popular. One of those is 6.4 as well, so that's not so bad. There we go, those are the same. Now, this is where it gets crazy. I don't know if you like feathers or not, but you better start liking them if you want a arrow that's going to perform well. Here's one feather, 1.4. Two feathers, 3.6. Three feathers, 4.4. You remember what these were? These were 6.5 grains. You got 3 feathers that weigh less than 1 vane. If you don't think that's important, you don't understand how this works. That's going to work out to about 16 grains less weight at the absolute critical point of your arrow, right at the tail. 16 grains coming off here makes a huge difference on where your balance point is. That brings me to another point, the weight of your nock. Do a little bit of research and find out the weight of the nock. So this nock here is a standard gold tip one, and they're pretty good. If I can get it off here, let me show you what these weigh. So that's zeroed. One of these is 5 grains as advertised on the dot. The Victory VAP arrows, now this is where I like to use different parts of everything. They fit, they look exactly the same, almost identical, but the difference is these weigh 6.6 grains, and that's a light one. So that's only a few, 1 or 2 grains difference there. I forgot what this was now, 5 grains. So 1.6 grains. I think these are actually advertised as 7, and most of the ones I weighed are 7. But anyway, it's 1.5 grains. So now you're adding this up, you're getting close to 20 grains lighter right at the tail of your arrow. So the point I was going to make there, now you get guys who go and stick a lighted nock in there. I love lighted nocks, they are so cool. You see that light whizzing across there and you know where you've hit the animal, and that's fantastic. But they weigh 24 grains, the best ones, 24 grains on top of all the other stuff. So maybe if your original nock weighed 7, you know, you're still up 18 grains more on your tail. I mean, forgive me if my maths is wrong, but that's a lot. That makes a big difference. Well, it makes a big difference to me. I would rather have an arrow that's going to go where I aim and kill that animal, and then it doesn't matter if I saw that little zipping blue light or not. I want to find the animal. So there we go. Now, last but not least, with all of these arrows, if you want some deadly stuff once it hits the other side, I think, certainly in my opinion, you got to veer away from these mechanicals. As I've said in a video before, I'm still going to use mechanicals for some animals, the smaller animals with small little vitals that I need a bigger cutting area, and I'm not worried about, these will probably break through bones of a little dik or a some diker or something. That won't be a problem. But the bigger animals, pigs and things, warthogs, bush pigs, I am definitely going to be sticking with some fixed blade solid ones. I got some cutthroat single bevels on the way. That's what I'll be using for most of my hunting. And anyway, I think you guys need to do this. Let me show you a little clip of a little practice I did this morning. Well, there's a little insert to the video of my new lethal arrows. Just finishing up a bit of practice, which is actually, I'm just out here to get a sight tape, and I gotta say, it's like magic. It's like somebody's turned on a freaking switch that just makes everything work. And it's not me. I haven't suddenly got better at shooting, so certainly not in a couple of days. So the only thing that's changed is my arrows, the F.O.C. I've shot arrows almost as heavy before, but the F.O.C. wasn't that far out. The F.O.C. on these arrows, if I haven't said it already, is 23-24%, depending on what method you use to measure it. So a little bit of practice here, literally just getting the sight tape worked in. I'm not even using the correct sight tape yet. I haven't even put that on, and I gotta show you, man. So here we are. Let's see if you can see all this. So I decided to end up with 5 shots, all in a different dot. Some of the well, I'll show you. So this was the first one. This is from 40 yards, and that's not too bad at all. That's 2.5 inches away from the center. And that was the third one, right up at the top there. Man, that is yeah, I guess there could be a bit of luck in there if it weren't for the fact that the next shot actually went right through the center of that one. So, well, let me pull this out. I'm going to show you these feathers as well. So I was really worried about this, feathers flying through the target. Look, I've shot this thing a bunch of times, and look at this, man. You give the feathers a little once over, and it's good to go, man. Nothing wrong with him. Veins probably come off. Anyway, so that was the third shot, right through the middle. I guess there's more penetration over there because we've shot that one more. Fourth shot down here. Clearly, I haven't hit the bullseye many times. Can you see that? Yeah. So that one went in. And last shot, maybe getting a little tired. It's also a little windy. You can see things blowing around. And that was the last shot there. 40 yards in a little bit of wind, and man, if you're not thinking of making your arrows with a crazy F.O.C, then yeah, you're losing out, man. The only reason I've got the F.O.C that I have is because these are the arrows that I've got. I've got a whole bunch. If you can see, I've got 2 different types. These are Kinetic Pierce Platinum, which are great, and then I've got the Victory Vap. Where is that? If you can see it, Victory Vap. They are identical in spine, grains per inch, and the internal diameters and all that stuff. So they take all the same components. Those Ethics Archery stainless steel inserts, I went with the heaviest ones they have. The steel collar and the steel insert, and I didn't cut anything off. I thought I'll put it in, it's going to be way too heavy, and I'll have to slowly cut some 10 grain pieces off. Didn't need it, man. I've left 180 grains of an insert in there, and I've already explained why I use 125 grain broadhead. So it's working, man. You need to work on your F.O.C. Yeah. Okay, so there you have it. You can probably tell I'm a little excited about this new, I don't know what I call it, this new thing I've found. It's not a new thing. Like I've said before, the traditional archery guys have been doing it for a long time, and it's not like I discovered this by some amazing brain power that I have. There have been a lot of guys doing this, and I've had some help along the way. The Ranch Fairy, you gotta check him out. Ranch Fairy, look it up on YouTube. He's got some great stuff. He's helped me as well, and it's always been something that I've had in the back of my mind, but I never just got around to doing it, or never had the guts to use some arrows, cut them to the lengths I wanted, and put some heavy stuff on there and see how they fly. And I am so happy that I did. I think it's going to work great. You know, I might be shooting bigger animals, like definitely wildebeest and eland, possibly in the next month or two. So I want some arrows that are going to do the job. Yeah, hopefully the next time I show you these, they're going to be all bloody. The feathers, I know a lot of you are probably going to say, oh, don't use feathers, why are you using feathers? Man, if you want me to do a little video on these feathers and show you how they perform, I mean, there's no difference to the vanes. There certainly are some benefits. You know, you can knock a string and stuff with these, and they're just going to fall down and pop back up. That's not going to happen with a plastic vane. Your arrow's going to get kicked all over the show. Yeah, they do have some downsides. They're not as durable. You know, they're definitely durable enough, but they are not as durable as a plastic vane. And guys worry about the water. You know, when they get wet, apparently they have some different characteristics. A lot of guys will say that they don't. You can put powders on them and whatever. I don't think it's going to make a difference, man. I really don't. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think.